So, hello, fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728. And the problem with politics is that you're not free to make mistakes and learn from your mistakes and improve and get better the way that you can in any other profession. When you make a mistake, that is an opening for your political opponents to say that, hey, this person doesn't know what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody kind of has to feel their way around and figure it out when it comes to almost everything in life. I mean, people make mistakes when they are learning to drive. Hopefully, it's not going to be bad mistakes, but can you imagine if you're learning to drive, you make a mistake, and someone says, "You see that? They should not be driving." You see, I mean, actually, I don't think that um, the more you drive, maybe you should drive in a computer game before you drive in the real world, and then at that point, you should get behind the wheel of a car. Um, but only in the most extreme example, I would think that you can point at what someone did and say, okay, let's give up on that person. Because, you know, we are the result of millions of years of evolution. I think that the vast majority of us would be able to do. But back to my point. My point is people can, and that's why people are afraid to do anything that might actually be a good idea for fear that it might not turn out. I mean, even as the CEO of a company, even if you're hiring people, people don't feel free to um, take risks that they need to take in order to learn and improve because other people who want to be CEO or they want your position can easily talk behind your back and point out that you shouldn't be in that position. Now, I don't want someone who I'm saying all of this, and at the same time, I don't know that I would be comfortable with someone who felt secure in their job um, to the extent that they could do. I don't want a despot. I don't want a dictator. I don't want any of those things. I don't know how to give someone job security, but at the same time not turn them into a dictator or a despot or anything like that, where, uh, you know, to be perfectly honest, you could just um, find a minority, however you want to define it, make them the scapegoat, take advantage of them in the way that slaves were taken advantage of, and you could rule like that because honestly, it would be democratic. That might be democratic, right? Because you're just taking advantage of a minority. But by and large, it is, it's really, I don't know that we can have good results from switching people out all the time and nobody has the opportunity to learn, and whatever decision they make, it better be perfect the first time. So everybody, when there's a large important thing like climate change, Nobody wants to do anything too rash because if it doesn't work out, it is your butt. You're done. You're gone. You're out of here. So that means that whatever country you're in is always headed towards the fall. The day when something rash is needed, the stitch in time that saves nine. You're always heading to the nine because you don't want to make the stitch in time that is unorthodox, that will get you thrown out of power. But unfortunately, at some point in the future, somebody is going to have to do that thing. Um, and when it doesn't turn out well the way that everybody thought, um, you're out on your butt, I suppose. Of course. Um, and I think in some ways that Trump was able to leverage that, right? By looking for people to demonize and get people's attention off of quote unquote what needed to be done, I suppose. So, I mean, yeah, the pandemic, the vaccines and so on were being made. It's not like he said stop that, but wearing masks and all the other things that could have saved people's lives, he was able to use that as a red herring to say, ah ha ha ha, like, don't look here, look over here kind of thing. And yes, definitely, you can get people who are just, their only ability was to get into power. And that's another way that the whole system can fall apart. If you have a leader who has no other skill but the skill of getting into power, and they have all of their energy to be focused, if they focus all of their energy on getting into power and learning how to get into power, and they don't have any other skills, they can't actually rule, which, as I'm saying it, that kind of describes Mr. Trump. It means that hmm, whatever country you have in that instance is probably driving at cruising speed to disaster. Because at some point, this dude needs to make he needs to make a decision that's above his pay grade, his intelligence grade. And maybe that's what happened with Trump and the coronavirus, right? It probably couldn't have been handled any worse, I think. And the hilarity of it is that over and over, where did COVID come from? Where did COVID come from? Wait a minute. We have two governments. One may or may not have created COVID, but they handled their citizens correctly, and they were a model that could be used by everybody in the world to see how to handle this thing. And you have another government who just completely botches it, um, and probably would have handled the outbreak in exactly the same kind of way, tried to suppress information about it, maybe called it classified, and tried to sue or prosecute people who provided information. And on the flip side, we want China to do stuff that would have been uh, top secret and all this other stuff in America and classified. But I mean, that's the game. We're just playing a game. There's no sense to it. It's just, did we win? And I mean we meaning just this limited group of people, not all of us collectively. like you win, I win, we all win kind of thing. But yeah, in our current civilization and society, leaders cannot get better. They just have to have the best decision, but not really the best decision, the popular decision. You have to go with the popular decision, because if you go with the unpopular decision, it probably doesn't even matter if it was the best decision. It's like I often use my family as a microcosm for the world, for the country, for whatever else. And I've made the best decision many times, I feel. And it's like turning the stove on three, on on slow or on a low heat. And then you come back and you find that somebody turned it on high, and just in time you turn it back, and maybe you add some more water to the pot, and then you come back and somebody turned it back on high. Um, you could probably get kicked out of office for doing the unpopular thing, even if it's the best thing. But, you know, all of these things, that wouldn't work if you're in a dictatorship. If you're in a dictatorship, you can do the best thing, even if most common people don't agree. Of course, if powerful people don't agree, then you still have a problem, I guess. Anyway, I just wanted to muse about the whole mess of trying to do the right thing in politics. You can't learn, and you can't do the right thing. You have to do the popular thing. Anyway, that's it for me. I don't know how many people listen to this, but thanks for listening. You have a good one. Peace.